All right. Welcome back to the Human Spectrum podcast. We have a lot to go over. And like I said earlier, if you are one of those people from the late 90s to about 2005 who participated in the S.E.T.I program's screensaver to give them more computer power, leave me a comment, let me know. I'd be very interested in knowing who else was involved with that. I know I was, because I thought it was fascinating, and they did find 5 things, like I said earlier, and we're going to go over a video clip confirming those 5 things from back then and how the James Webb telescope today is helping to corroborate what they found, verify what they found, and I'll let the video speak for itself. It's definitely going to be interesting. It's a little clip I took from the Vetted podcast, another great podcast show. If you haven't been there, check it out. So what we're going to do first is go ahead and look at that video, and then we'll talk about it on the backside. All right. Let's see. Okay. The first thing we're going to look at is from the Vetted show, and he had 3 other guests there. Again, this Simon Holland, he's known for producing movies and executive productions, and he's also a bit of a scientist and has a lot of connections. So when this guy speaks, people listen. That's why I took this clip, and I'm going to show it to you right now.
Article, if you could believe it, Simon.
Oh yeah, sure.
Covered it.
No, it's a real story, and we're about to get full alien disclosure. That's what I'm hearing.
I mean, which is
Where are you hearing?
you know,
Okay, so,
Dreams.
Sorry, that's just the obvious.
no,
Next
so, you know, Clint is a really good
Jack
question.
33. Yeah, Jack
Yeah.
Dragon 33 on YouTube commented it.
Trust
one
me, bro.
time, And
.com.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go
no.
ahead,
So my family contacts are all in Cambridge radio astronomy, and a very good mate is a retired head of the European Space Agency radio, and it was him originally who told me that about the probable contact, or the likely candidate, that's the word I'm looking for, wake up, candidate that was discovered from SETI at home that Breakthrough Listen are currently studying. I just think that they're stalling for time. I think they do want a bit more confirmation. I think James Webb has also found something, really. And we're just getting into the final the final blows of how it's going to come out. I think it's going to be definitely a year or less.
So that's his take. There's a lot more on there. To see the full podcast, this guy Patrick here, he has his show Vetted, as you can see here. He also had Dr. Dan, and he also had Clint from the Night Shift, another great podcast show. So if you haven't checked them out, I definitely suggest you check them out. So that clip right there, you can see that he didn't specifically get into what I was talking about, except for the fact that the James Webb telescope is involved. So what I can verify, because I didn't want to play too much of this clip, is that he goes on further to say that the findings back in the late 90s, early 2000s They put that together with the James Webb telescope and did some verifications, and they found that I believe 3 out of the 5 were of interest, not only to the government, but the Pentagon also, and some other departments in the Pentagon that he mentions, and then some that he doesn't. And this guy does have great contacts, and to see the whole thing, just head over to Vetted. You'll definitely get a lot of information from Mr. Simon Holland. So, moving on, we're going to look at, let's see, I believe this is going around Twitter. I have a clip here from October 9th, and a commercial pilot sees a UAP, and I believe they're on a large commercial aircraft with many passengers, and their English was broken in between. I couldn't quite get the language. If I had to guess, it sounded Portuguese. But later on in this clip, the pilot explains with subtitles what happened during that flight. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
To genealogy, and they are dressing for this. Wow. Ooh, very bright now. Wow.
I know the video quality wasn't that great, but it was posted on, I think his name is UAP James on Twitter X or X, and but this was the quality that they put up, but I'm not sure why it's like that, but it was posted October 9th. Okay, I'll continue with the video.
That's UFO. Sometimes on, sometimes off, sometimes off again. Right. Is that the star? You get it? Okay. Small one.
So what I think they're doing here is discussing whether or not it's a star, but the other guy says no because it's moving. And these guys have trained eyes for this. They're professionals. And I don't know if you caught the other part of it. They're saying it's could be a satellite. They talked about how they have the new satellite trains going all over, but it's not with a train and it's not moving like a satellite. He'll specify that in the subtitle shortly. All right, continuing on.
Two of them now, the same position. Very good. Woo. That one is below, right?
UFO. That's new unidentified flying objects. UFO. Sekalian.
Guys, ini bukanlah karangan atau gambar yang dibuat-buat, tapi ini adalah pengalaman saya melihat sesuatu yang aneh atau anomali UFO atau Unidentified Flying Object, benda terbang yang tidak terindikasi. Yang kami lihat memang masih misteri. Benda apakah itu? Berada di angkasa dan menari-nari. Sebelumnya kami menyangka cahaya itu adalah pesawat, tapi tidak ada di radar kami. Terus kami menyangka kalau mungkin itu bintang, tapi kelipan bintang berkelip cepat dan bintang tidak bergerak. Sedangkan cahaya UFO bersinar lama dan bergerak. Kemudian kami menyangka pula bahwa kemungkinan cahaya tersebut adalah satelit, karena saat ini banyak satelit dari Starlink yang baru diluncurkan oleh Elon Musk. Tetapi tidak mungkin satelit bergerak seperti itu, karena cahaya UFO di depan kami bergerak bebas, kadang maju, mundur, kadang kiri, kanan, atau sebaliknya. Dan mereka bisa bercahaya berempat bersamaan dengan bergerak membuat formasi. Tetapi di luar itu, mereka tidak mengganggu kami. Malahan mereka sepertinya menghibur kami, menari-nari, membuat kami melek di saat kami mengantuk. Dan kadang mereka juga mengedipkan cahaya seperti mereka ingin memberikan suatu pesan. Tapi pesan apa? Kami sungguh tidak mengerti.
Okay, so I hope you caught most of those subtitles. A couple things that stood out for me was, we know that when the Navy pilots see these objects, and we've even heard reports of them splitting formations, like literally forcing them to split their formations so that it can go right down the middle, but not hitting them. In this case, the pilot, you can see he said in his subtitles that it's almost as if when we get a little sleepy, there's a large flash of light as though to keep them awake. Otherwise, these things that we're seeing or that we're looking at today did not bother us, especially from the outside. It's almost like they're entertaining us. But I guess that pilot, the way he talked about it, he must have seen it more than once or another one, because he seems to think that it's entertaining him or something. But either way, I know the video wasn't the best, but that video was uploaded on October 9th. So I don't know what flight it was, where it was going. I don't have any information other than the other pilot. I'm assuming it was the co-pilot that was filming this, and he did a pretty good job. He saw him zooming in at one point through the front window, which proved that it moved in front of them. And then you can see when it first started out over the captain's window on the right side. So either way, it was interesting. I wanted to show you guys. So then we're going to go to what I received by email, and thank you. I already sent an email back thanking them for this, but please do leave a handle or a name and the location next time. I saw the clip. I'm not sure. It looks like it could be somewhere in the Mediterranean, possibly Turkey, but I'm not an expert at photography, but the object looks legit. But it's an interesting UAP if it was actually there and not Photoshop. So I always remain skeptical, but when someone sends me something, I'll look at it, and if I think it's something we can put up on the human spectrum, I throw it up there. So here we go. Let's take a look. It's very short.
Там, ну, вам видно? Вам видно? Что это? Неужели на чем такое это, а?
All right, I'm gonna play it again, and I'm gonna slow it down, and let's see. We'll have a better look at it.
Да ну. Вам видно? Вам видно?
So it appears to be over, it looks like radio towers in a mountainous region. And then obviously it goes over to this gentleman with the glasses on. And then he goes back. So we'll put it back in a little bit faster speed. So I'll put it back where it was.
Что это? Неужели на чем такое это, а?
Okay, so when I took a second look at it, and let me know what you think, if you notice, there appears to be some humidity over the mountains in the distance, where this craft appears to be hovering over a radio station or some kind of station with radio antennas. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So those are the clips I had for you today, but there is an article that just came out today on the Mirror, and I guess I can show you this. There's only a couple of paragraphs, and I wanted to go over this with you because it was just released today, and it's kind of important, and it has to do with the latest information on the James Webb. So, 1 second. Okay. Okay, it says here, now they put exclusive, and I believe they're based out of the UK. I'm not sure, but it's by Michael Moran. Huge alien announcement could happen within weeks, as Professor says. We've found it. And what could potentially be the biggest story in the history of science, two rival teams, astronomers, are set to be racing to confirm the discovery of an alien civilization. So, if you think about it, this is maybe, at least for me, the 7th time I've heard about this, and I'm bringing it to you. So let's move on with this article. A British academic believes he has stumbled on the most world-changing piece of news in recorded history. That's a big statement. Professor Simon Holland, remember you guys just saw him in that vetted podcast clip that I just played? That's who he's referring to. Professor Simon Holland, who has produced documentaries for NASA-funded projects, including a project pinpointing Earth-threatening asteroids, says that two rival groups of astronomers are in the race to publish the first confirmed evidence of an extraterrestrial civilization. This goes back to what they found in the 90s and 2000s at S.E.T.I, and when the James Webb telescope, when they finally got it into space, they put that data and information in and confirmed what you'll find out if you watch the entire podcast on Vetted. 3 out of 5 objects. Goes on today, he told the Mirror, "We have found non-human extraterrestrial intelligence in our galaxy, and people don't know about it." Simon explains that he has been given information by contact with Mark Zuckerberg's Breakthrough Listen, a privately funded initiative aimed at finding evidence of civilizations beyond Earth. I don't know about you, but I had no idea that the owner of Facebook had a program going. So if we didn't know, now we do. It says right there, Mark Zuckerberg's Breakthrough Listen, a privately funded initiative aimed at finding evidence of civilizations beyond Earth. That's just interesting in itself. And the news may come within the next month to coincide with the U.S. election. He believes and claims that astronomers within Oxford-based project have identified clear evidence of transmissions from another world. That's just huge. He believes and then claims that astronomers within the Oxford-based project have identified clear evidence of transmissions from another world. This is unbelievable. And I think this is the last part of it. There's just one more small one. Goes on to say, they found evidence of non-human technology or technological signatures a few years ago using the Parkes telescope in Australia, Simon says. Such extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and the team, funded by billionaire Mark Zuckerberg and Yuri Milner, are racing to gather more evidence to support their potentially game-changing discovery. So who are they racing with? Let's find out. Meanwhile, Simon says the risk being beaten to the finish line. He continued, "This is breaking news as of yesterday." So that would mean October 10th. And it goes on to say, but the Chinese might be piping them to post with their fast 500-meter aperture spherical telescope program. It's the largest telescope in the world since Arecibo. The coordinates of the target object, which is known as, and here we go, this is what I was talking about earlier, BLC-1, are supposedly known to the Chinese, and the two teams are competing to become the first to make the hugely prestigious announcement. Wow, this is big. And there is a photo of the Chinese, what do they call it again? The fast 500-meter aperture spherical telescope. That's pretty impressive. It almost looks like the one in Arecibo. 5 potential technosignature candidates were identified from re-examining of S.E.T.I's SETI at Home screensaver program, which utilized the combination resources of the world's PCs to sift through the masses of data generated by radio telescopes. BLC-1, Simon says, is regarded as by far the most promising. Whatever the source of BLC-1 signature turns out to be, Simon stresses, it's like no known natural phenomenon. It's a single point source, he says, and not just noise. The signal, instead of being a giant buzz of everything in the universe that we hear through all radio telescopes, was a narrow electromagnetic spectrum. That's very important because it does discount the universal noises. Astronomers have been excited by potential alien transmissions before, when pulsars were first discovered, that they were cataloged as LGM, or little green men, objects, and the 1977 WOW signal has never been definitely identified, but Simon believes this time it could be the real thing. The scientists are understandably exercising extreme caution before making the epical announcement, but Simon believes it could come, either from Breakthrough Listen in Oxford or the Chinese team, at any time within the next month or so. So the two teams that they're talking about is the program from Oxford University and the Chinese team with their giant telescope. So we'll see who's going to announce it first. Obviously they're taking this very serious, and I'm showing it on a semi-mainstream media page. He goes on to say, it would be wonderful if it coincided with the first woman in the White House, he jokes. And that's the end of that article. So hopefully you get the gist of what they're talking about. And now we know that they do need to make an announcement. And according to the sources that are cited here on this article, they want to do it within the next month or so. And it's Oxford or the Chinese. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out with the announcement. That came out today, October 11th. Speaking of October 11th, I want to wish my daughter a happy birthday today. And obviously I have a very nice gift lined up for her. She's going to love it. So basically, they took the information that they found from the 90s and 2000s that hundreds of thousands of people were involved in, including myself. And if you were, and you had the screensaver, please leave a comment. I'd like to know how many more people watching this video podcast actually had that screensaver, or at least heard about it, because there were over at least 300,000 people involved. And that's how they were able to find BL1, and they didn't mention the others there, but on that vetted podcast with Simon, he'll talk about the other 3 out of the 5, those candidates that they're taking seriously. But it seems like, based on today's article, they narrowed it down to 1, and BL1, and the Chinese and Oxford are racing, but carefully, to, I guess, to make sure they got all their ducks in a row before they make the announcement. I'd be pretty surprised if China is the first one to come out with it, because knowing Oxford University, they're usually the first with anything epic. And if you don't consider this epic, too many people are under rocks. And I don't mean that offensively. I just think that when you have astronomers from different countries looking at the same thing and coming to a conclusion that they might need to make an announcement faster than even I anticipated, yeah, we need to pay attention. And I'm going to have more coming about this discovery, and any announcements that comes out, it'll be right on here on the Human Spectrum Podcast ASAP. So that's all I have for today. Like I always say, if you have any videos or images of anything paranormal, anomalous, feel free to send it to me. I have 2 emails that are in the description. You can just send it through there. And again, give me your handle, name, first name, and where it was seen, the area, region, or city, or town. And sincerely appreciate it. And we'll feature it right here on the Human Spectrum. So that's all I have for today. And have a good day or a good night wherever you are. Take care.